Good morning, it's October 19th, and this is To My Liberal Friends. Hamas terrorists storm into Israel, indiscriminately killing people. They take videos of their carnage and march hostages back to Gaza. They celebrate their act of terrorism and sadly leave us with the promise that they will do it again. Here in the United States, students take to the streets to protest. But are they protesting the act of these terrorists? No, they're blaming the victim of this horrific attack. They blame the nation of Israel for Hamas launching this attack. They chant Palestinian slogans without fully understanding, at least I hope they don't, how anti-Semitic these chants are. When they chant Palestine from the river to the sea, do they realize that means the elimination of the state of Israel and the slaughter of Jewish people? Do they understand the meaning that when they have full anti-Semitism on display and are no better than Nazis of Germany during World War II? We have idiotic members of Congress celebrating the terrorists by attack. Specifically, I'm speaking of Congresswoman Rashid Tlaib of Michigan and Ilhan Omar of Minnesota. Ms. Tlaib took the flying of Palestinian flag outside her office in support of Hamas. When a rocket hit a hospital in Gaza, they immediately took to social media and accused Israel of bombing a hospital, causing casualties to over 500 people. They didn't wait for the facts to come out. They probably did not realize that both the United States and Israel possess the technology to track telemetry of a rocket to see where it originated and where it detonated. When that data became available, it became apparent that the rocket was fired from within Gaza, aimed at Israel, but malfunctioned and landed in the parking lot of a hospital. Now, you would expect a mea culpa from these two members of Congress, but all we heard from them is crickets. We now hear people supporting the Palestinians calling for a ceasefire. Exactly how does that work? Hamas comes across Israel, slaughters innocent people, and then Israel is supposed to stand down and do nothing? Let the terrorists go back to Gaza to regroup for the next attack. Have any of these people condemned the terrorist attack? In yesterday's Detroit Free Press, a city with a large Muslim population, we have a writer pleading for a ceasefire. Andrea May Sahari writes a lengthy piece on the plight of the people of Palestine, and she says, quote, condemnation of the killing of innocent Palestinian and Israeli civilians should be easy to come by, yet I watch in frustration as Palestinians are dehumanized, as their lives are less valuable, end quote. But nowhere in this treatise does she condemn the Hamas terrorists. Certainly, the killing of any human being is wrong. Nowhere does she talk about the atrocities of Hamas. She admits that Hamas has governed Gaza for over a decade and done nothing to improve the life of the Palestinian people. They still need better water. They don't have reliable electricity. And she concludes her article with the following, quote, Palestinians protest even though they know they can die, and they do it because they have no other choice. It's their freedom they're protesting for. I have faith that journalists will find the bravery as Palestinian journalists have, leading the way for humanity to be acknowledged, to ask these questions, to think critically, and demand that Palestinians be seen as worthy, end quote. In other words, Hamas was justified in committing this act of terrorism. And yesterday, protesters took to the Capitol of the United States, demanding that a ceasefire be enforced on Israel. They mouth all the words of saving lives, but they don't condemn the terrorists. And they have to know that if they are not taken out, they will be back. They will recruit even more young men, instill in them a hatred of Jews. They will tell them it's their duty to kill Jews. They will be taught the slogan, Palestine from the river to the sea. If the Palestinian people truly wanted to live in peace, they would take to the streets protesting the barbarism of Hamas. They would tell the protesters on U.S. campuses they should be demanding that Hamas be destroyed so the people of Gaza can live in peace and prosper. They should be demanding that no more rockets be fired from their territory. They should tell the people of the world exactly who and what Hamas is. When they invaded Israel on October 7th, Hamas terrorists beat, robbed, raped, kidnapped, and executed Jewish men, women, and children. They also burned families alive, shot babies, and decapitated some people. Such horrific crimes haven't been perpetrated against Jews since the Holocaust. Yet politicians and university presidents who were previously quick to comment on issues of social justice have little to say or nothing to say about mass slaughter in Israel, while more than a few students and professors have applauded Hamas atrocities and assaulted Jewish students. Hamas, whose hateful ideology was directly influenced by Nazism, has claimed that the brutal murder of Jewish children in Israel was perpetrated by enraged civilians from Gaza. Wow! In fact, documents recovered from Hamas terrorists killed in southern Israel show, quote, detailed plans to target children and young people, end quote. Hamas supporters cite facts that are supposed to justify the terrorists' vile deeds, including the seizure of Palestinian land in the 1948 War of Independence, when the Jews of a new nation of Israel fought the armies of 5 invading Arab nations. But there can be no justification of Hamas atrocities, not even in principle. They're so vile as to fall beyond the realm of explanation, let alone excuse. History teaches us at least this much. We must not forget when we hear so-called, quote, reasonable people at the UN, New York Times, or the State Department urge Israel not to go too far in its attempt to eradicate Hamas, or when they condemn the country, and that's inevitable, for having done so. Such judgments try to pose as clarity, but are in fact moral and intellectual obfuscation. They can only encourage anti-Semites everywhere, and give Hezbollah and other agents of Iran's theological tyranny a pretext for opening up more fronts in their effort to effect a final solution to finish once and for all the work of the Holocaust. As free people here in the United States and the rest of the free world, we should be able to see what Hamas and its sponsor Iran want to do, and we should reject with every fiber of our being. And to the spineless administrators on college campuses who wring their hands and only act when donations are threatened, we should be telling them that protests in support of the evil of terror should not be tolerated, and those protesting will be both identified and told they face expulsion for supporting terrorism. In Congress, we still have members of the squad, as I've said, particularly Rashid Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, defending Hamas and blaming Israel. A few Democrats have called them out, but not enough. Democrats should introduce a resolution condemning Hamas as terrorists and then denounce any member that supports them. Joe Biden should specifically, by name, state those members supporting Hamas are wrong and antithetical to civilized society. As a nation, we have to take a stand against any of these terrorists. We also have to be more vigilant on our southern border. We keep getting reports that people on the watch list have been caught entering the United States illegally. What would be the response if a cell of terrorists supporting Hamas committed an act of terrorism here in the United States? Would those protesters on college campuses finally see Hamas for what it is? Would those misguided members of Congress still defend them? These are questions I hope we never have to resolve, but they're ones we have to keep in mind. This has been To My Liberal Friends. Thanks for listening.